with Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree.
Wait, did you see these numbers? CNN just dropped a poll that essentially ends the debate on voter ID. We're talking over 80% of Americans across almost every single group saying yes to photo IDs at the booth. This isn't just a GOP talking point anymore. It's a national mandate.
Non-white Americans have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with.
Look closely at that chart. For years, the narrative has been that voter ID laws disproportionately hurt or are opposed by minority communities. But Harry Enten just blew that wide open. You've got 76% of Black Americans and 82% of Latino Americans in favor. That is a massive disconnect between the political rhetoric we hear in D.C. and what's actually happening on the ground in 2026. If you're a strategist for the DNC, these numbers are a flashing red light. It shows that common sense security measures have actually become a unifying issue rather than a wedge issue. When even 71% of Democrats are nodding along with photo ID requirements, the Jim Crow 2.0 labels start to lose their punch with the average voter. It's a complete shift in the electoral landscape heading into the midterms.
Why this is so important. We passed it twice in the House, and we will pass it again. The SAVE Act just simply says you have to have verification of citizenship to register to vote. That's about a 90-10 issue on many of the polls in this country. And we're going to enhance it by what the president calls the Save America Act. And so it would be proof of citizenship to register to vote and voter ID, which is also about an 80 or 90% issue on the polling nationwide, depending on who you talk to. These are very important things to ensure that our elections are free and.
Speaker Mike Johnson is leaning hard into this 90-10 issue. He knows the SAVE Act is his biggest leverage point right now. By focusing on verification of citizenship, the GOP is trying to force a vote that they believe the majority of the country already supports. Notice how he's framing this as a constitutional republic necessity. It's a surgical move. They're trying to link the government funding fight directly to the one thing the CNN poll proved most Americans want: secure borders and secure ballots. It's putting Senate Democrats in a very tight spot. If they block a bill that has 80% public support, they risk looking like they're fighting against the will of the people just months before an election.
Narrowly dangerous comments, I would argue, from President Trump about Republicans seizing control of the elections, clearly talking about swing states, key battlegrounds, and the like. We were talking earlier in the show about this, too. It's a continuation of the big lie that he, of course, obviously actually did lose in 2020, but it's about more than that. This is about 2026 and 2028.
This is someone whose profound personal insecurities.
Now look at the reaction from the other side. Over on Morning Joe, the alarm bells are ringing about Trump's call to nationalize the vote in 15 specific crooked states. This is the counterplay. While the GOP focuses on the ID poll, the Democrats are focusing on the authoritarian threat of federalizing local elections. It's a total war for the 2026 narrative. One side says secure the vote, the other says save democracy from a takeover. But if that CNN data is accurate, the takeover argument might struggle to gain traction if the average person just sees it as finally making everyone show an ID. The data doesn't lie, but the politics are messy. What do you think? Is voter ID a common sense fix or a threat to democracy? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it.